In this video, I'm going to run you through 5 facts of an audio device that I've had for more than 4 years now, and one that I use on an everyday basis here in the home studio. It's the Universal Audio Apollo Twin X interface. And contrary to what most people think, this is what I'm doing all of my real-time audio processing with. Because a lot of people see me here in this home studio, they see these rack-mounted DBX units, the 286S and the 266XS, and they figure that that's what my mic is going through. And yes, it is going through these right now, but it's not actually going through these and ending up on the final audio chain or recording. So this is all kind of just for show. What I'm actually using is this Apollo Twin X. I've come to know it. I've come to love it. I highly recommend it, but I also want to share these 5 facts, whether you have one and you're just interested to hear what I say about it, or you're considering the purchase. There are some things I feel confident in sharing after the last 4 years. Number one, you're going to love it. I mean, this is a certified professional level piece of gear. You know, some things that we buy and use in a home studio, either it feels consumer or a bit plasticky, or I pop the microphone there. It just has a different feel, like not of the highest grade. Or when you're using it, like the preamp has a little bit of hiss, or there's some extra latency in the signal here, just something's not right. I guarantee, like when you feel this, use this, kind of vibe with the Apollo Twin X, you'll understand, like you'll get what I'm saying. This is a professional level piece of gear. It is built to last the test of time. It's built to be flexible. It's built to change over time. I really feel like this is an investment. And of course, it is a lot more than most people have ever spent, probably at that point, on buying an audio interface. But it's going to deliver, and it's going to open up so many doors if that's what you're intending to use it for in the long term. Speaking of that, it's important that you know whatever you spend on the Apollo Twin X, you're probably also going to spend even more money on plugins that you will eventually need or just flat out want. And that's the way the UAD ecosystem works, right? They don't necessarily always come out with a bunch of new things, but there's so many plugins that you do get to explore on 14-day trials whenever you want. And generally speaking, when you make your initial purchase, it comes with a promo package, like a couple compressors, a couple EQs, maybe a channel strip, maybe a reverb plugin, just enough to kind of wet your whistle on what this device is capable of. But again, you start sampling other things, you hear other people's signal chains, you find out that maybe something else best suits your microphone, your recording space, your voice, your musical endeavors, whatever. Like, I would find it hard to believe that most people buy the Apollo Twin X and don't buy any other plugins. Now, buy your plugins at the right time of year. I think there's a sale in the winter and one in the summer. Those are the best deals. If you can wait, every 6 months when one of those comes up, holidays and midsummer, I think, do it then. The deals are far worth it. You can cut your cost in half, maybe even in a third, if you wait until the ultimate time. I'm here to advise you of that. Spend wisely at the right time, but just understand that, yeah, you are probably going to invest a little bit more on these plugins. They're that great, and they're worth it. I mean, it's not to say here that you're buying something you don't need. Yeah, you're just going to find out that you need it or you want it. Okay, the routing here on the Apollo Twin X with the software side of it, it's complex, it's flexible, it allows me to do a lot of different things, but maybe it's even too difficult for some. Just looking at this device, obviously the Twin X, meaning 2 channels in, but there's also virtual channels like coming back from the computer. I can have multiple signal chains running back into the Apollo, but all of those can have plugins with them too. So it gets a little bit overwhelming maybe for a beginner, and you're trying to route audio out of this in a mix minus situation for a live stream or for somebody that's calling in on a Zoom call. There's a lot of capabilities in and output with this device. It's not necessarily too much if you're accustomed to it, but if you're just getting into it, just understand that the console software takes some time to understand and grasp and properly set up with your devices. It is rather intuitive. Again, it's not completely off the charts, but if you're just getting into this, if you're adding this to your home studio, it might take a while to dial in exactly how you want it and to reconfigure it for the different setups that you might be utilizing. Okay, what's next? It is possible to max out on DSP, digital signal processing, if you use a lot of plugins. So this is the Apollo Twin X, right? 2 channels of input, and you could pretty much stack either channel with 4 or 5 total plugins, and you're probably not going to max out. But you can also use these plugins on all of the virtual channels as well too, and that is where it starts to get dicey. Some other plugins require more DSP than others, and there's a meter right in the software that is going to give you exactly what you need to know in the console software, how much you're using, and it won't let you overdo it. It'll cancel something out, but just know that you can't use every single plugin on every single channel with the amount of DSP that's built in here. This is going to cover you just fine for 2 inputs, or even if you go a little bit lighter on the 2 inputs, maybe 2 inputs and a virtual channel or 2, but you can't put DSP on all of your inputs and outputs all at the same time. You're going to overwhelm the unit. Last but not least here, portability of this device might be the most underrated part of the Apollo. In a sense that I just have this thing sit on my desk. It has not moved from that location in 4 years. And that's fine. Like, this is my home setup. I actually have something else I use for remote live streaming. By the way, you'll see that video on the PreSonus Revelator IO24, maybe even a comparison at some point. But the fact that, again, if I were somebody in the music business, and I talked about how this is a professional level device earlier, if I was a recording artist and I was on the road or I was touring or I wanted this in my tour bus, look how much this offers. Racks and racks and rack mount units of space versus this. It's this, a couple cables, power supply, obviously mic setup and such, but this is so small, this is so portable, this is a backpack type device. By the way, I would highly recommend more of a Pelican case to protect it rather than just a backpack. But you understand my point. This is something that can travel with you, and because of that, because you can bring all your tools with you, that to me makes it so valuable versus lugging around all this stuff like back in the day. So portability in my mind could be the most underrated part of the Apollo. This is a home studio channel. Again, I imagine most of you are just putting it in your home studio, but if you needed it and if you wanted to take it places, you most certainly could. So the Universal Audio Apollo Twin X, I talk about it a lot. I literally use it every day. I highly recommend it. By the way, check out other videos here on my channel. I go through all the different signal chains I use for respective microphones, and in those videos, you'll see me using the console software to kind of fine-tune and dial things in. But as for this hardware, digital signal processing, like real-time, no latency, zero latency effects. Right now I'm getting a channel strip on this. I've got compression, EQ. You can throw a lot of things on this microphone, all in real time, thanks to that device right there, the Apollo Twin X. Highly recommend it. Save up for it. Save up for some plugins too. And if you get this, trust me, you will not regret it. Hey, subscribe to this channel for more videos just like this, and thumbs up on this video if it provided you some value.